My daughter Vanessa called me on a Thursday morning while I was folding laundry. I remember it clearly because the dryer was still rumbling, and I had just finished pairing socks that didn't match anymore. Her voice was trembling, just enough to pull my heart straight through the phone. "Mom," she said, her voice cracking. "I didn't want to call, but I have no one else. There's an emergency with the kids." Those words, emergency with the kids. That was all it took. I sat down on the edge of the couch, one hand gripping the armrest, the other holding the phone to my ear so tightly it started to shake. "What happened?" I asked. "Is Marcus okay? And Layla?" "Hold on a moment before we move forward. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're loving these stories, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. They're both sick," she said quickly. "Marcus has a fever we can't get down. I had to rush Layla to urgent care last night because she couldn't stop throwing up. I'm scared, Mom. I don't even have enough for the copay." My chest felt tight. I didn't ask many questions. That was my mistake. "How much do you need?" She hesitated. "If you could help with $3,000, it would get us through the next week. Medications, food, doctor visits, and I know it's a lot. It was a lot. But I didn't say no." "I'll go to the bank right after I finish this load," I said. "I'll transfer it this afternoon." She sniffled. "I don't know what I'd do without you." After we hung up, I sat there a few minutes longer, staring at the photo of the kids on my mantel. Marcus had just turned 10. Layla was 7. I had watched them every summer since they were toddlers. I knew those kids. I loved those kids. So I didn't hesitate. I put my coat on and walked to the bus stop. The bank teller knew me by name. "Big withdrawal today," she said. "Yes," I replied, smiling tightly. "Emergency with the grandkids." She didn't ask more, and I appreciated that. I transferred the full $3,000 to Vanessa's account, then walked the 5 blocks home in the wind, holding onto my purse like it still had something left. That evening, I reheated leftover chicken and called Vanessa to check in. "Hey," I sent. I said. "Let me know if you need help picking up their prescriptions. I can come over tomorrow." She paused. "Oh, no need, Mom. I've got it under control. Just waiting on Marcus's antibiotics now." I didn't push. Maybe I should have. 2 days later, on Saturday afternoon, I opened Facebook like I usually did when the laundry was going, and the house was quiet. That's when I saw it. A picture of Vanessa and her husband, Troy, smiling on a white sand beach. The caption read, "Finally some peace. Maldives, you were worth every penny." There were 3 heart emojis and a cocktail glass. I stared at it for a long time. I read the caption again. Then I looked at the comments. People fawning over the view, over her bikini, over how happy they looked. I sat back in my chair and read it again. Maldives. My daughter and her husband were on vacation in the Maldives. Not a hospital. Not at urgent care. Not with sick children. They were drinking out of coconuts while I ate leftovers and skipped my blood pressure refill to cover their emergency. I didn't cry. Not right then. I just closed the laptop and sat at the table in silence. I didn't eat dinner that night. I didn't sleep well either. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that photo. Her smiling like a teenager, like someone who didn't just take her mother's last savings. The next morning, I called her. She didn't pick up. I called again in the evening. Nothing. I sent her a text. "Vanessa, I saw the photo. Call me." No reply. It was Monday night before she finally answered. Her voice was sharper than I expected. "Mom, I'm with the kids right now. Can we talk later? I thought the kids were sick, I said quietly. You told me they were really sick. There was a pause. Well, we had to change plans last minute, she said. Things were stressful. We needed a break. I didn't answer. Mom, it's not what you think. You said Layla was vomiting and Marcus had a fever. And the next thing I see is you in a bikini in the Indian Ocean. Another silence. I didn't lie, she said finally. They were feeling off, but everything ended up fine, and Troy surprised me with the trip. She added, and the post. I stayed silent. I wasn't ready to be a mom again, she said. I mean, not fully. I've been trying to figure myself out. At their expense, she swallowed. Do they hate me? No, I said, but they don't trust you right now. She nodded again. I guess I earned that. They're not props in your life, Vanessa. They're people. They needed you. I know. A long silence settled between us. Then she said, I'm going back to Atlanta next week. My friend offered me a place. I think it's better if I'm not around for a while. I nodded slowly. You're probably right. Can I say goodbye? I looked through the window. Layla was sitting on the floor, drawing. Marcus was lying on the couch. You can say goodbye, I said. But not here. I'll bring them out. She waited on the porch while I went inside. I told Marcus and Layla their mother was outside and wanted to say goodbye. Neither of them moved right away. Then Marcus stood up. Layla followed. They walked out together, stood in front of her. Vanessa knelt down. I just wanted to say I love you, she said, and I'm sorry. Layla said nothing. Marcus looked at her for a moment, then asked, Where are you going? I need some time to get better, she said. But Grandma's going to take care of you. Layla stepped back toward me. Marcus didn't move. All right, Vanessa said, standing up. When I'm ready. If that's okay. Okay, Marcus said, flat. She gave a small wave and walked back to her car. We watched her drive away. This time, I didn't feel a lump in my throat. Just stillness. Layla leaned against me. Is she coming back? I don't know, I said. But we're okay. That night, Marcus asked if he could update his school paperwork himself. I want to list you as my emergency contact, he said. You already did. I smiled. But you can do it again. After they went to bed, I sat in the quiet for a long time. I thought about how different everything looked from just 1 month ago. I used to think I'd spend this part of my life alone. Quiet mornings, slow dinners, small phone calls from family. But instead I had the school drop-offs, spelling tests, and missing socks again. I also had purpose and peace. Not the kind that comes from everyone liking you. The kind that comes from knowing you did what was right, even when no one clapped for it, even when it cost you. Before bed, I added a final line to my new will. This home is for Marcus and Layla. It's theirs now, no matter what happens later. Then I turned off the light and slept through the night for the first time in weeks. Marcus and Layla sat outside with a volunteer from the court. The judge asked questions. We answered calmly. Vanessa's lawyer tried to make it sound like she had just needed a break. Said she was planning to return. That she always knew where the kids were. But the documents spoke louder. The money transfer. The school absences. The emergency guardianship petition. The screenshots of her vacation. The days without contact. When the judge asked Vanessa why she didn't call, she shrugged. I didn't think I had to." He paused, wrote something down. "I'll issue a ruling next week," he said. "But in the meantime, the children remain with their grandmother under full temporary custody." We walked out quietly. Vanessa didn't say goodbye. When we got home, I found the kids sitting on the couch. Marcus looked up. "How'd it go?" "You're still with me," I said. Layla smiled and leaned her head against my arm. That night, I got another message. This time it was from someone I hadn't seen in years, a woman I used to work with at the clinic. She'd seen the post too. She said, "I wish someone like you had been around for my daughter when I couldn't show up." I read the message twice, then closed the screen. I looked over at Marcus, who had fallen asleep at the dining table while reading, then at Layla, drawing a picture of the three of us. That photo I took, the one that changed everything. It didn't go viral because it was dramatic. It went viral because it was honest, because everyone saw in it something they either had or had lost. 1 week after the hearing, the envelope came in the mail. I didn't open it right away. I placed it on the kitchen counter and stared at it while I made coffee. The kitchen smelled like toast and peanut butter, and Layla was humming in the other room. I stood there for a moment longer, then sat down and opened it. The court had ruled in my favor. I was granted full temporary custody of Marcus and Layla until further review. Vanessa still had parental rights, but any visitation would have to be supervised and pre-approved. I folded the letter, tucked it back into the envelope, and slid it into my drawer next to the trust paperwork. My hands weren't shaking like I thought they'd be. I didn't feel victorious. I felt something closer to steady, like I had finally exhaled after weeks of holding my breath. That afternoon, I sat the kids down at the kitchen table. "I have something to tell you," I said. They both looked up, waiting. "I'm going to be your legal guardian for now. That means you'll keep living here, and I'll be the one who makes decisions for school and doctor visits and everything else." Marcus nodded slowly. Layla looked at her plate. "Does that mean Mom can't take us back?" "Not without a judge saying so," I said. "And not without talking to you first." Neither of them said anything right away. Then Marcus asked, "What if we want to stay forever?" I looked at him carefully. "Do you?" He nodded. Layla did too. "All right then," I said. That weekend, I went through the kids' clothes. Most of what they had brought was too small or too worn out. I took them shopping with the little extra I had left from the church donations and a small savings bond I cashed out. Marcus picked jeans and a sweatshirt with a basketball logo. Layla wanted a hoodie with a unicorn and a new pair of light-up sneakers. When we got home, they both showed off their clothes like it was Christmas morning. Sunday morning came quiet. The kids were watching cartoons while I cleaned the front porch. I was halfway through sweeping when I saw a car pull up. I knew immediately it was her. Vanessa stepped out of the driver's seat slowly, like she didn't know if she should be there. She looked thinner. Her hair was flat, and her face didn't have makeup this time. She walked up the steps and stopped short of the door. "I just came to talk," she said. "I didn't move. I'm not here to fight." "Then don't raise your voice," I said. "The kids are inside." She nodded. "Can we sit for a minute?" I motioned to the bench on the porch. We both sat. She looked out at the street, not at me. "I messed up. I know. I didn't mean to leave them like that. I didn't know it would go that far." "You did know. You just didn't care at the time." She was quiet for a few seconds. I thought I could fix it before anyone noticed, but it all spiraled. I didn't say anything. I saw the court papers. No apology. Just that photo, smiling like nothing ever happened. I didn't say anything right away. I clicked to the next image. She had added several. A picture of her lounging at a hotel pool. A selfie with 2 other women I didn't recognize, all of them laughing, drinks in hand. Then Marcus asked, "Did she even tell them she had kids?" I looked at him. "What makes you ask that?" He pointed to one of the comments. It said, "You look so free now. New chapter, no more baggage." Vanessa had replied with a laughing emoji and 3 hearts. Layla read over my shoulder. Her lip trembled, but she didn't speak. She walked away and closed the bedroom door behind her. I turned the laptop off. That afternoon, I made a decision. I took a picture of the kids that evening, just after dinner. Marcus was on the porch helping me water the plants. Layla was sitting, on the steps, drawing in her sketchbook. I stood at the doorway, held up my phone, and snapped it. Later that night, I posted it to my page. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't add emojis. I just wrote, "We don't run from our responsibilities. We stand beside them." I didn't expect it to spread, but it did. By Saturday morning, the post had been shared dozens of times. Friends, church members, even some former co-workers. The comments started pouring in. "This picture says everything. You've always been the steady one. Those kids are lucky to have you." By Sunday evening, a distant cousin messaged me directly and asked what had happened. Said she saw Vanessa's posts and didn't understand why the kids were always with me now. I didn't go into details. I just said they were safe, and that was all that mattered. Vanessa didn't message me, but I knew she'd seen the post. 2 days later, she showed up at my front door. It was the first time I'd seen her in person since she took the money. She was wearing sunglasses even though it was cloudy, hair pulled back tight, face blank. She didn't knock, just stood there like she expected me to open the door out of instinct. I opened it halfway. "I need to come in," she said. "You need to say why first." "I want to talk about the post," she said, "and the hearing." "The hearing is scheduled for Friday. If you have something to say, you'll have a chance then." She pushed her sunglasses up on her head. "Are you serious right now?" "I'm very serious. You're dragging me through court. You've turned the family against me." "I haven't dragged anyone. I filed to protect your children after you left them alone and didn't check on them for almost a month." "I knew they were safe," she snapped. "I knew they'd come here." "Do you hear yourself?" I asked, leaning against the door. "You sent 2 kids to figure it out on foot, and when they got here, you vanished." I was overwhelmed. That's not good enough anymore. She looked over my shoulder like she was trying to spot them. "Are they here now?" "They're at school," I said, "like they should be." "I want to see them. I'm sure the judge will ask them if they want that too." She narrowed her eyes. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" "No, I'm surviving it, and they are too." She shifted on the porch, like she didn't know what to say next. "I'm their mother," she said finally, softer. "You can't erase that." "No one's trying to erase anything," I said. "But biology doesn't replace behavior. And the last time you behaved like their mother was weeks ago." She turned, walked back to her car without another word, and drove off. I watched her go. Then I shut the door and locked it. That night, Marcus asked me if he'd have to talk to a judge. I told him maybe. "What should I say?" he asked. "You tell the truth," I said. "Just tell them what happened and how you feel." He nodded slowly. That night, I saw Layla lying in bed with the covers pulled over her head. I sat down beside her and placed my hand on the blanket. She peeked out. "Is she mad at me?" she asked. "No," I said. "She's mad at herself. She just doesn't know how to say it." She called me baggage. Layla whispered. No, baby, I said. You are not baggage. You are the reason I get up every morning. Friday came, fast. The courtroom wasn't fancy. Just a few rows of chairs and a long desk where the judge sat. Vanessa walked in with a lawyer I didn't recognize. She wore a gray dress, conservative makeup, and looked serious for the first time in weeks. Monique was with me. And where did you leave your children during that space? I told them to stay at the park. I knew they'd go to you. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You knew they'd walk here alone. They're not babies, Mom. They're 10 and 7, Vanessa. 10 and 7. Another pause. I want them back, she said. My hand tightened around the phone. No. Excuse me? I said no. You don't get to say no, she snapped. They're my children. And you left them. You abandoned them. She tried to talk over me. You think you're better than me just because you... I'm not better, I said. I'm responsible. She fell silent. I didn't wait for her to respond. There's a hearing in 2 weeks, I said. You'll be notified. You can bring a lawyer if you want. You're taking me to court? No, Vanessa, I said. I'm protecting Marcus and Layla. She hung up. I stood there holding the phone, my other hand shaking. I placed it back on the counter, turned the stove off, and went to my room to sit down. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat with it. The next morning, Marcus asked me if I could come to his class for career day. Of course, I said. What should I tell them you do? I smiled gently. Right now? I guess I take care of you. He nodded. That day, I started going through my old papers, insurance documents, deeds, bank statements, birth certificates. I wanted everything in order, just in case. I had never expected to be back in this position so late in life. But here I was, dusting off folders, organizing legal names, trying to make sure my grandchildren had something that looked like a future. I opened a sealed envelope I hadn't touched in 5 years. My will. Vanessa was the sole beneficiary. The house, the small insurance policy, the savings, everything was set to go to her. I stared at the paper for a long time, then I put it through the shredder. The next day, I called Monique again. She came over with a new will template and a heavy folder. Are you sure? She asked. I want it all to go to Marcus and Layla, I said. In a trust, not to Vanessa, not even $1. She nodded and started writing. We sat at the dining room table for an hour. I detailed the bank accounts, the mortgage, the items of sentimental value. I left Layla my mother's necklace. I left Marcus my late husband's watch. The house would be held in trust until they were both adults. I named Monique as the trustee until they turned 21. I don't want her touching any of it, I said. You're doing the right thing, she told me. I'm doing the only thing I have left. She slid the final draft across the table. I signed. The next day, a packet arrived in the mail from the family court. I was to appear in 2 weeks. Vanessa had received notice, too. I knew that meant trouble was coming. The weekend came fast. I made spaghetti for dinner. Marcus helped me set the table. Layla played music on my old radio. It was the first time. All week I saw her smile without looking around first. After dinner, Marcus handed me a folded paper. It was a poem he wrote for class. It read, Home is safe. Home is quiet. Home is Grandma, even when it's not perfect. I read it twice. My hands shook. That night, after they were asleep, I sat at the same kitchen table and looked at the folder again. My name was on the deed. My name was on the insurance. My name was the only one that built this place. And she had tried to steal it with a lie. Not just the money, not just the food from my pantry. She had tried to steal my role, my legacy. She had gambled it away for beach pictures and spa selfies, while her children waited in a park with no plan and no goodbye. But that's the thing about people like Vanessa. They think the legacy is in the house. They don't understand. The legacy is in the hands that tucked them in, fed them, raised their kids when they ran. And now, I was reclaiming mine. The Friday before the court hearing, I was making breakfast when I heard Marcus's voice from the living room. "Grandma, look at this." I dried my hands and walked in, to find him standing next to the laptop. Layla was beside him, arms crossed. The screen showed a new photo Vanessa had posted. She was at a rooftop restaurant, holding a glass of wine, city lights behind her. The caption read, "Starting fresh, finally choosing me." It had been 5 days since our last phone call. Not a single message asking about the children. No check-in. I took Marcus with me to the pharmacy to pick up more medicine. While we waited, he asked, "Why does Mom always leave when things get hard?" I didn't answer right away. "She didn't used to," he continued. "When I was younger, she tucked me in. We had movie nights. But now it's like she wants to be somewhere else all the time." "She's going through something," I said carefully. "But that doesn't mean it's your fault, or Layla's." He looked down. "I thought it was me." I put my hand on his shoulder. "It's not," the pharmacist called our name. I picked up the medicine and we walked home in silence. That Sunday, after church, Monique came by. I had asked her to bring the formal forms for temporary guardianship. She laid them on the kitchen table and explained everything, step by step. "You'll need to submit these with a statement of facts," she said, "and we'll need to notify Vanessa by certified mail." "Even if she's ignoring me?" "Yes," she said, "but once you have temporary custody, you can make medical decisions, register them for school activities, and protect them from being taken without your consent." I nodded. Then I signed. After she left, I sat back and exhaled. I hadn't realized how tightly I'd been holding my breath all week. The paperwork was just one step, but it felt like something. Like control in a situation that had started spinning too fast. Monday morning came again. The school counselor called me after I dropped the kids off. She said Layla hadn't spoken much during class and asked if she could sit with her. "She's dealing with a lot," I said. "If she wants to talk, please let her." That afternoon, I got a call from the school nurse. Marcus had fallen asleep in class, said he was exhausted. I didn't blame him. He'd been holding it together for too long. That night, I made hot chocolate for both of them. Sat with them while they watched an old animated movie. They laughed at all the right parts. For a moment, things felt normal. For a moment, they looked like kids again. But in the back of my mind, I knew the truth. These weren't just kids staying with Grandma. They were kids who had been left behind, and I was the only one left standing in the gap. The day I got the certified letter from family court confirming the temporary guardianship hearing date, I folded it twice and placed it neatly in the drawer beside my bed. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. But it was the kind of tired that comes from doing something necessary. Vanessa still hadn't shown up, still hadn't called, still hadn't even checked on Marcus or Layla. It had been nearly 3 weeks. The kids had stopped asking about her. That was the part that broke me most. Layla, once attached to her mother's scent and soft-spoken voice, had turned quiet, withdrawn. When she drew pictures now, they never had grown-ups in them. Just 2 kids, and a house, sometimes a dog, never a parent. Marcus kept pretending like he didn't care. but I saw him watching the front window more often than not, like he thought a car might pull up, like he wasn't sure if he wanted it to. I had signed every school form, gone to every meeting, packed every lunch. I'd even bought a used Chromebook with some savings, just so Marcus could keep up with his math lessons. He'd improved, but it was slow. He needed more than I could give academically, and I knew that. But I could give stability, and right now, that counted for something. The church community had been helpful. Miss Anderson dropped off groceries again. Deacon Harris gave Marcus a backpack. The ladies from Bible study even arranged for Layla to get a spot in the after-school art club. It was humbling, but it kept us afloat. One Thursday afternoon, I was standing over the stove, cooking beans, when my phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. I picked it up, wiped my hands on a towel, and answered. Hello? A pause. Then her voice. Mom. I didn't say anything. Can you talk? You're talking, she sighed. Look, I know things got out of hand. I turned the burner down. You lied about your children being sick so you could go on vacation. I didn't lie. You told me Marcus had a fever and Layla was throwing up. You said you had no money. I wired you everything I had left. I was overwhelmed. No, I said, keeping my voice even. You were selfish. She was quiet. I needed a break, she finally said. Troy and we were fighting a lot. I needed space. Layla clutching her lunch like it might float away. When we got there, the secretary recognized me right away. Ms. Henson, she said. We were just wondering about Marcus and Layla. I nodded. They're staying with me for now. She hesitated. Did their mother send something in writing? No, I said calmly. But I'll bring paperwork soon. She didn't push, just handed me 2 visitor stickers and asked me to sign the logbook. In the hallway, Marcus turned to me. Can you come to my class for career day? It's next week. I thought that was only for parents, I said. He shrugged. My teacher said anyone who takes care of us can come. I smiled a little. Then I'll be there. After I dropped them off, I went back home and sat at the kitchen table again, just like every morning that week. The house felt different now. Not empty, but not settled either. I opened my laptop and looked through the documents Monique had sent me. Emergency guardianship petition, affidavit of care, affidavit of abandonment. I wasn't sure which one I'd end up needing, but I printed them all. My old printer made that squeaky noise it always did when warming up. I sat there watching the papers come out, thinking about how everything changed in just a few days. I had raised Vanessa as best I could. I wasn't perfect. I wasn't soft either. I worked full-time at a clinic while going to night school. There were nights I came home too tired to ask about her homework. Mornings when we both skipped breakfast. But I made sure she never lacked the things that mattered: safety, food, love, consistency. Now here I was, doing it all again for her children while she was... Where? Still in the Maldives? I didn't even know. She hadn't called since she hung up on me. At noon, I called Child Services just to ask what steps were required if a parent left children for over a week without contact. The woman on the phone was patient, but direct. Have you tried reaching the mother? She asked. Yes. No response. And the father? He's not the biological father. No legal guardianship. Have the children expressed fear or discomfort returning home? They've expressed not wanting to go back, I said. And I don't feel comfortable sending them. The woman paused. You can file for emergency guardianship through family court, If abandonment continues and there's no objection, you may be granted temporary custody. But if the mother comes back and contests it, a judge will decide. I thanked her and hung up. That night, I gave the kids a proper dinner. Baked chicken, rice, and green beans. Layla cleaned her plate without me having to remind her. Marcus asked for seconds. After dinner, they helped me clean the dishes. Layla hummed a tune I didn't recognize while rinsing her glass. When I tucked them in, Layla asked, "Grandma, do you think Mommy's mad at us?" I sat on the edge of the bed and brushed her curls back from her forehead. "No, baby," I said. "She's not mad at you. She's figuring things out right now." Layla nodded, but she didn't look convinced. "I had a dream," she whispered, "that we got left at the airport." I squeezed her hand. "You're not going. Anywhere you don't want to go. Not without me." Later that week, I got a text from Vanessa. First message in days. It read, "I need some space. I'm trying to get my head right. Don't stress the kids out. I'll be back when I'm ready. No, thank you. No. Are they okay?" Just a vague command to not stress her children. I didn't reply. The following morning, I got a knock at the door. It was Ms. Anderson from the church. She held a grocery bag in one hand and an envelope in the other. "I heard about what's going on," she said, stepping into the hallway. "Some of the ladies from the prayer group wanted to help." The envelope had $200 inside. The bag had rice, pasta, cereal, milk, and fresh fruit. I stood there, trying not to cry. "Don't be proud," she said. "That's what community is for." I nodded. That weekend, Layla had a fever. Low grade, but enough to make me nervous. I sat on the edge of the bed with a thermometer in one hand and a cool cloth in the other. Marcus hovered in the doorway. "I think she caught it from the water fountain at school," he said. "Maybe," I answered. "It's nothing serious. Just rest." I gave her children's Tylenol and read her one of the old picture books I kept from when Vanessa was little. Layla dozed off halfway through. That night, I told her the kids were with me for now, and I'd be bringing them back on Monday. She said she was glad someone reached out, that she'd been trying to contact Vanessa with no success. "She doesn't answer emails either," the woman said. "It's been hard trying to get clarification on their absences." I told her I understood. I thanked her. Then I hung up and sat at the kitchen table again. The same table I had sat at the 3 days before, when I wired $3,000 to a woman who now couldn't be bothered to check in on her kids. Around 3 p.m., Marcus came into the kitchen, holding a folder. "Grandma," he said, "do you know where my mom put the permission slip for the field trip? I looked up from my cup." "She never signed it," he added. "We're supposed to go to the zoo next week." I reached for the folder. Inside were crumpled papers, unsorted, a few drawings, an old lunch menu, and at the very back, a wrinkled permission slip half filled out but unsigned. "I'll take care of it," I said. "We'll talk to your teacher Monday." He nodded slowly. "Thanks." After he left, I took that folder to my bedroom and flipped through it again. Buried behind the forms was a report card. I hadn't seen one in months. Marcus had 2 C's, a B-, and a D in math. That shocked me. He used to love math. Then I saw the note. "Needs support staying on task. Seems distracted and tired in class." Layla's drawing was stapled to a writing assignment. The title said, "The Day I Stayed Quiet." It was about her sitting in a closet while her parents fought. That's when I picked up the phone. I didn't call Vanessa. I called Monique. Monique had been my friend for over 20 years. She was also a family lawyer. I'd helped her through her divorce. She helped me through my gallbladder surgery. When I told her what happened, she didn't gasp. She didn't react like I expected. She just said, "You want to do something about this legally?" "I don't know yet," I said, "but I want to make sure these children are safe. And if Vanessa shows up here tomorrow with an attitude and a suitcase, I want to know my rights." She said she'd email me information about emergency guardianship filings and custody consultations. She told me to keep documentation of everything. I said I would. After we hung up, I printed out every text Vanessa had sent. I took screenshots of the vacation photos. I wrote down what Marcus told me, what Layla said. I stapled it all into a folder. Then I made a copy of their birth certificates from the old box in my closet. Vanessa had left them there years ago, thinking I might need them in case of a school emergency. I guess that part turned out true. That night, I told the kids they'd be staying with me for a little while. Layla asked, "When is Mommy coming? Back?" I didn't lie. "I don't know, baby. Is she mad at us?" "No," I said. "She's just not where she needs to be right now." Marcus sat up straight. "Can we stay here even if she comes back?" I paused. Then I said, "Yes, you can stay here. You're safe here." He nodded. Then he turned over in bed and faced the wall. Later, when the house was quiet again, I sat on the edge of my own bed and stared at the bank statement on my nightstand. The $3,000 transfer was the last transaction on the page. Below that, my balance was a few $100s, not enough to fix the leak in the bathroom ceiling, not enough to cover both of their school needs and my prescriptions. I had given Vanessa everything I could, and now I had 2 children under my roof, no savings, and a daughter who hadn't returned a single call in 4 days. That's when it finally hit me, fully, without filters. Vanessa had abandoned her own children for a vacation. She had told a lie so convincingly, with the right amount of tears and pauses, that I didn't even think twice. She'd use the phrase, "emergency with the kids," because she knew I would react. She knew that was the one thing that would get me to move. And it worked. She didn't just steal from me. She used my love for those children as a weapon. But the difference now was, I wasn't going to let it happen again. The following Monday morning, I walked Marcus and Layla to school myself. I hadn't walked that stretch in years, not since Vanessa moved across town and stopped needing me for drop-offs. But the route hadn't changed. Same sidewalk cracks, same faded crosswalk lines. The kids walked a step ahead, backpacks bouncing. It was already paid. What was I supposed to do? "You were supposed to tell me the truth," she sighed loudly. "I can't do this right now. I'll pay you back." I let the silence hang, then I said, "I didn't ask for it back." "Well, you didn't have to act like I stole it." And then she hung up. I looked at my phone for a while. The screen dimmed. The room felt darker. I wrapped a blanket around my shoulders and sat on the couch, staring at the rug. I didn't even feel angry. Not yet. Just stupid. Like I'd been walking around with my eyes closed for years. That night, I didn't sleep again. Not because of rage, because of shame. Because I realized I had raised a woman who looked me in the eye and told a story about her children suffering just to fund a luxury vacation. And I believed her. Of course I did. I was her mother. And the worst part? She knew I would. I didn't leave the house for a few days. I canceled lunch with my friend Harriet. I skipped church. I stayed home and sat with the truth. Not the kind people talk about on holidays or over tea, but the quiet kind that sits on your chest and makes it hard to breathe. 3 days after that, I got a knock at the door. When I opened it, Marcus was standing there with his little suitcase and a backpack. Layla was behind him holding a teddy bear. "Hi, Grandma," Marcus said, eyes wide. "Can we stay here a few nights?" I looked out at the street. No Vanessa, no car. Just my 2 grandkids, standing on the porch, alone. And in that moment I knew the real emergency wasn't what she told me. The real emergency was me. I stood in the doorway, not saying a word, just watching Marcus and Layla shift nervously on the front step, like they didn't know if they were welcome or not. Layla clutched, her bear closer to her chest, and Marcus looked up at me the way he used to when he scraped his knees as a toddler, like he didn't know what would come next. "Come inside," I said finally, stepping back. They walked in slowly. Layla's shoes squeaked on the hallway tile. I shut the door behind them and locked it, out of habit. Or maybe something else. I looked through the peephole just to be sure no one was waiting in the car. Still nothing. No Vanessa. No Troy. Just the sound of wind and trash bins clinking at the end of the street. "When did your mom drop you off?" I asked, turning to "Face them." Marcus looked at Layla. She looked down. "She didn't really drop us," he said. "She said she had to go somewhere, and Troy told us to wait at the park. But it started raining, so we walked here." I looked down at their sneakers, damp, mud along the soles. They had walked 4 blocks alone. I felt something cold grip the back of my neck. I wanted to ask more questions, but my mouth was too dry to speak right away. "Are you hungry?" I asked. Layla nodded without lifting her head. I walked to the kitchen and pulled out a package of frozen chicken tenders, tossed them into the toaster oven, and filled 2 glasses with apple juice. While it heated, I sat across from them at the table. "Did your mom say when she'd be back?" Marcus shook his head. "She said she needed space. Troy was yelling at her." "Did she say anything else?" He hesitated. "She said she'd come back when people stopped trying to control her." I blinked slowly. That night, the kids slept in the guest room. I pulled out extra sheets and fluffed the old pillows. Layla curled up with her bear, and Marcus asked if he could leave the hallway light on. I said yes. After I tucked them in, I sat on the couch and stared at the floor for a long time. Vanessa hadn't just lied. She had abandoned them. And she had done it so casually that she didn't even bother sending a text to warn me. She had stood on a beach halfway across the world, while her children were left to figure out how to get to me on foot, and I had paid for it. That realization settled in deeper every hour. The next morning I made pancakes. Marcus ate 3. Layla just picked at hers. She asked me if I had syrup, then said never mind. When I sat down with my coffee, I asked them about school. Layla shrugged. "I missed 2 days." "Does your teacher know why?" She shook her head. "And you, Marcus?" He looked down at his plate. "I tried to go, but Troy said it didn't matter, that Mom needed space and I should stay quiet." My stomach turned. That afternoon, I called the school and spoke to the office secretary.